Merry Christmas. I'm back again. This one is called Fuzzy Rabbit Saves Christmas. Does that sound good? It is by Rosemary Billam and pictures are by Vanessa Julian Adi. Okay, so there's the little bunny and his name is Fuzzy. You're going to meet him in the book and he's under the tree with some presents. You're going to see how that happens. I know a little girl who loves her bunny. Her bunny's name isn't Fuzzy, but she is very special. So let's hear this story. Now, there's two little children in this book, and once again we have a big sister and a little brother. That happened in my last story. And their names are Ellen and Robert. We have some of those names in our family. Well, it was Christmas Eve, and Ellen and Robert gazed at their Christmas tree as it sparkled in the firelight. Aren't Christmas trees beautiful? I just love looking at them. Their lights. Santa Claus is coming tonight, Ellen told Robert for the 100th time. Do you think she was excited? She just kept telling him, Santa Claus is coming. He's coming tonight. See, there they are. There's Ellen. A little girl, and her little brother is Robert, and who's that? Fuzzy. He's very special to both of them. Fuzzy Rabbit looked up at the fairy on top of the tree. I don't know why they have a fairy instead of an angel, but they do. Lucky thing, thought Fuzzy. She'll see Santa when he comes. He was thinking that little fairy would see Santa because she's on top of the tree. See? Here's Fuzzy looking up. Well, Robert put some cookies on a plate in case Santa was hungry, and Ellen poured a glass of milk and left it on the mantel in case he was thirsty as well. There they are. Plate of cookies and a glass of milk, and their kitty's watching. Do you like to do that too? Put out cookies and milk for Santa? I think he likes that a lot. That's what I've heard. And usually the plate is empty the next morning. Yeah, and the glass. Well, after they did that, then their family sang Christmas carols around the Christmas tree until Daddy said it was time for Fuzzy to go to bed. So here they are, Mommy and Daddy, and it looks like a lady that's a little bit older. Must be Grandma. The daddy has his arm on her. It's like a happy, close family. And there's the kids, and there's Fuzzy. They're all singing happily by the fire and by around the tree. And there's the kitty. Okay. Time for Fuzzy to go to bed. Well, that means the kids too, doesn't it? Ellen sat Fuzzy on her pillow while she took her bath. Fuzzy could hear her singing in the bathroom, and he felt warm and happy. At bedtime, the children hung their stockings at the end of their beds. Ellen had made a small stocking especially for Fuzzy. What a lovely surprise, he thought. Here he is on the bed, listening to Ellen singing in the bathtub. He's talking about how special it is that she had made a stocking for him. So they sleep in the same room, and their beds are similar. She's hanging the stocking at the end of her bed. There's one for her and one for, apparently another one for Fuzzy. And little Robert is hanging his too. I'm not going to sleep until Santa comes, said Robert. Well, Mommy said, Santa won't come unless you're asleep. Look out the window and see if he's coming now, said Robert. But there was only a group of carolers under the street light, which is nice too, but not Santa. That means there was a group of people that like to sing Christmas carols, were walking around the neighborhood, singing Christmas songs at people's houses. And that was special, but no Santa yet. Well, here's Mama peeking out the window because Robert right there says, would you peek out and see if he's coming yet? You can see pictures of his room there and Ellen's room as they share. Ellen was tired, but sleep wouldn't come. And guess what? Fuzzy couldn't sleep either. And Robert was wide awake. He stared at his empty stocking, and suddenly he heard a noise. It was outside. So here he is. Everybody's having trouble sleeping, including Fuzzy. And then he hears a noise, so he sits up and he says, "Sleigh bells!" He tiptoed over to the window and looked out, and Ellen saw him because she wasn't asleep either, and she said, "It's only a car." The front doorbell rang, and there were voices and laughter in the hall, and Robert scurried out to the landing and peered down. So there he is looking out the window, and his sister says, "Don't worry, Robert, it's just a car." And then apparently some friends of his parents came over, and they talked and laughed a little bit. So he went to the stairs in the dark and quietly peeked. Soon, apparently those friends left, and he heard Mommy and Daddy coming upstairs. So he ran back to bed and pretended to be asleep when they peeked into the room. He was like, his eyes shut under the covers. He didn't want them to know that he'd been up. Only Fuzzy had his eyes open. Robert kept absolutely still till he was sure that Mommy and Daddy were in bed. He had decided that the best way to see Santa Claus was to go downstairs and wait in the living room, because that's where he was going to come, right? So here they are pretending to be asleep. Yep. And there's Mommy and Daddy peeking in the door saying, "Oh, how nice." Like they're asleep. And Mommy and Daddy are going to go to bed there too, so they're just peeking at the kids before they go to bed. So Robert gets out of bed and he says, "Come on, Fuzzy, we're going downstairs." And Fuzzy's thinking, "I'd much rather stay in bed." The house was very quiet and the stairs creaked. The only light came from the street light outside. Fuzzy clung on to Robert as they crept down the stairs. So here he is reaching over. He's sleeping. Fuzzy's sleeping next to Ellen, and he grabs Fluffy out, or Fuzzy out of bed and takes him downstairs. See, they're very quiet, and Fuzzy and Robert are hanging on to each other there. Okay? Very quiet. Robert opened the door to the living room with a little click. The curtains were drawn, and it was very dark. He could just make out the shape of the tree with shadows all around it. He bent down to switch on the Christmas tree lights, and he dropped Fuzzy among the presents when he did that, because he apparently needed a couple hands to do it. So there's the tree, and there's the chair, there's the tree, and there's little Robert turning on the switch that turns on the lights, and he drops little Fuzzy right there amongst all the presents. He's kind of busy. Just then, Robert heard footsteps in the hall. Uh-oh. He quickly hid behind a curtain. He held his breath. But it was only Ellen, his sister. See? She's peeking too. And there he is behind the curtain. And she sees his feet and she says, "What are you doing down here?" she whispered, taking his arm. "It's very late. Let's go back to bed. We must be fast asleep before Santa comes." So there's the picture I just showed you. You can see his feet peeking out. So she knew he was there. And now she's telling him, "Come on, honey, let's go back to bed." And she takes a hold of his arm and guides him back upstairs to bed. And she reminds him, Santa just doesn't come unless we're asleep. So they tiptoed upstairs, forgetting to switch off the lights on the Christmas tree. "What about me?" thought Fuzzy. Uh-oh, they forgot about Fuzzy. Probably Ellen didn't notice he was missing because her brother had taken him, and then he forgot because he was busy looking for Santa, turning on the lights, and then hiding behind the curtain. Well, after a while, Fuzzy sat up, and he couldn't believe his eyes. He blinked and looked again. So here he is under the tree amongst all the presents, and there he's looking up and he's got his hand by his mouth. Like, oh my, he couldn't believe it. What do you think he saw? I wonder. Well, guess what? there was, who? Santa Claus. Oh my goodness. With his sack. He stopped, he turned around, and he looked straight at Fuzzy. And then he smiled a great big beaming smile. A nice smile. And he said,
Well, well, I didn't expect to see you. Why aren't you tucked in bed?
and there's Fuzzy under the tree looking at Santa. And there's Santa talking to him with his big smile and friendly voice. Santa's a very friendly guy, isn't he? Well, after Santa was done with his present delivery, putting the presents in the stockings, he put his sack on the floor and he sat down in the armchair. He helped himself to the milk and the cookies that the children had left. He said. Patted his tummy and he said, very good. He yawned and he leaned back in his chair and he nodded off to sleep. Oh dear, thought Fuzzy. What about all the other boys and girls who are waiting for him? Fuzzy sat and watched Santa snoring gently in the armchair. What should I do? He thought. The clock in the hall struck 1. Bong! It was 1 o'clock in the morning. Fuzzy tried to nudge him awake, but it just didn't work. Santa must have been really tired. So the next thing Fuzzy did was he pulled on his beard. He thought, that'll wake him up. So here he is trying to get a hold of Santa and he's tugging on his beard there. See him? Does Santa look like he's waking up?
What do you think?
Then he did. Whenever you pull hair, on the top of your head or wherever it is, or from a beard, it doesn't feel very good. It startled him. And Santa Claus woke with a start. He looked at the clock on the mantle. Uh-oh, bless me, he said. I must hurry. He took Fuzzy upstairs and put him back in Ellen's bed. So here he is. Fuzzy had just been there trying to get him awake, and he wakes up and he sees the clock is 1. I gotta get going. I have so much to do. While Fuzzy lay there, he watched Santa fill the stockings by the foot of their bed with presents. Then Santa kissed Fuzzy goodnight. How special. It must have been a magic kiss because Fuzzy went straight to sleep and he didn't remember another thing. There he is. He put Fuzzy back to bed. There he is next to Ellen in bed. And there's Santa filling their stockings while they sleep. Just Fuzzy is awake. In the morning, Ellen and Robert woke up early. They were so excited. He's been here! He's been here! Shouted Robert, waking up Fuzzy, who was still sound asleep. Got to bed late, didn't he? In Fuzzy's own little stocking, Ellen found a hat and scarf which fitted Fuzzy perfectly. Just then, Mommy came to the door. So here's the kids opening their presents. They're so excited. There is Ellen and Robert and... Oh, Fuzzy's still on the bed there. I couldn't see him at first. There, you can see his little head on the pillow. He's watching. Merry Christmas, darlings, said Mama. Santa came, said Robert. So I see, said Mommy. Aren't you lucky? He must have been very hungry because he ate all the cookies and drank all the milk. So he did, thought Fuzzy, because he had seen him, hadn't he? And nobody knows I was there too, and that I even pulled his beard. And there is our friend Fuzzy with his new scarf and hat that even has holes for his bunny ears. Isn't that cute? And he had a secret, that he had seen Santa come, drop off the presents, drink the milk and cookies, take a nap, and then wake up in time to finish up and go to the next houses. So that is the end of Fuzzy Rabbit Saves Christmas. I hope you liked it. It was kind of cute, wasn't it? See you later.